Hey guys, I'm April Rogerson with the Slay Your Day podcast, where we talk to people who are doing very unique things or in unique industries, and we want to hear all about it. And today we are here with Merlin Knight.
Yay. Hello, April.
Applause.
Yeah.
Merlin is an enigmatic figure. He is Mr. South Fulton. He is everywhere and anywhere, and you likely have seen him before, especially if you're on my feed, because Merlin and I hit the town a lot together.
Quite a bit.
And my first meeting of you was with the South Fulton Chamber. Yes. Shout out to the South Fulton Chamber.
Greater South Fulton County Chamber.
Okay. Now, there's a reason why you're saying that.
Yes, because there is a city called South Fulton, but we are the chamber that covers all 8 cities of South Fulton County.
Let's run them off.
That would be, if you're on 29, Southwest Atlanta, East Point College Park, Union City, Fairburn, Palmetto, Hateville, City of South Fulton, City of Chat Hill. Yeah.
Wait, did I miss a count? It was probably me.
And we did include Palmetto as well.
Yes. South Fulton is a very large region. I think most people don't realize that. A lot of times, like you said, especially with the new city, we've seen that people really shrink it down to just South Fulton, the city.
Correct.
Without really understanding how vast that whole region is and how much business is being done in that area.
And the city of South Fulton is really only 90 square miles. Imagine that.
Yeah, and while we focus on South Fulton and we make sure that we're focusing on the business and the people of South Fulton, the reality is that we have members from everywhere.
You're correct.
Members from everywhere. And part of that is obviously they want to connect with people in South Fulton. They want to connect with the constituents, but also just the other businesses, because there is an alliance and there's a synergy that can happen when you connect all of these cities and not just South Fulton, right?
That is correct.
So let's talk a little bit more about that and how you see it, because you had a big role in helping the chamber grow. And it's not been just shaking hands and kissing babies in South Fulton, right? So let's talk a little bit more about the synergy and how that plays a part. And we will transition into how it plays a part in your business.
Sure. One of the first things I always tell members and future members that are going to be part of the Greater South Fulton County Chamber is that we work from the inside out, not the outside in. So the premise is that as you're growing your particular business and building relationships with those outside, the stronger your business grows, you're now able to employ others within that South Fulton County area of those 8 cities. Because we always talk about and hear about this work and play,
right,
and living situation. So we want those who are not trying to really drive as far.
Right.
So the more that we are supporting those individuals, small, I say it's not necessarily small, but growing businesses, they in turn are now able to hire 1, 2, and 3 more employees.
Right.
So now the traction of do they get to work, how they get to work, they're close in proximity because they're shopping and living in that community, which also builds on a stronger customer service because now they're seeing how to interact with their own fellow man.
Right. And it definitely plays a big part in, while we have our smallness to that area, the connectivity to some of the other areas and other business that we mentioned, they bring in something else, you know, and it helps. One, it helps us have visibility in South Fulton, right? Because again, there's so many people that's like, what's going on down there?
So many things. We have so many hidden treasures, so many hidden lakes, so many. We don't really need a trail to come find us, like a bike trail, because we have so many. All of our cities are unique in their own way, and they all add value to the greater South Fulton County. And with that being said, it makes it a whole lot easier to sell South Fulton County. So if you're looking for the real estate, come on down to South Fulton County
and call
the contract slayer. Trust and believe and understand. The homes that you're looking for anywhere else are right there in South Fulton County.
They are, and I think that's something that I also have to deal with. So as in your capacity, you are talking about the businesses and things like that. From my perspective, I have to talk to people about seeing South Fulton in a different light sometimes, you know? And again, talking about South Fulton, the region, versus South Fulton, the city, which I live in South Fulton, so I think is wonderful, and I've been there for a long time. So, but this is no knock to them. But sometimes in the media and news and things like that, it's like, oh, South Fulton, and sometimes it's not even in South Fulton. But there's a bad rap that's coming with that. So it helps to have the chamber. You have realtors who are actively, pioneering and pushing for, come check us out, see what we have going on down here. And you will have a different vision of the city because, as you said, not the city, but the area, as you said, each of the cities have their own unique
yes.
temperature, their own unique vibe, their own unique thing going on. And I think that there's definitely something to be said for businesses as well as the people to see South Fulton in a different light.
Exactly.
And so with that being said, part of what you do is for the South Fulton, the greater South Fulton County Chamber. And that's a very big part of who you are and what you do. However, you have an amazing business that I said, you have got to come on my show to talk about this. So we love the chamber. I'm a part of the chamber. We are chamber down all day long.
Yes.
But Merlin.
Yes.
You have a waste business.
That is correct.
I don't think that's talked about enough. I really don't. I think that this is amazing. When you first told me, I was blown away. So I was like, what do you do? So let's talk more about that and how you even transitioned to that, how you got there. Because again, part of what we do here is talking about unique industries and unique businesses, especially for what we do. So waste solutions.
Waste valet services. So full, as they say, full disclosure. I was a science major, so I majored in environmental science and studies. And so I got into the waste industry by way of the waste management, Wayne Heisinger himself. I started out as an inside sales rep, but got quickly promoted to outside and covering 2 different states. So I'm always going to be a garbage man. And folks say, can't be the garbage man. I am the garbage man.
But hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but I want to jump into that right there because you have said to me that you yourself have taken out the garbage. And that's why I think people get so far away from that. They're like, I'm the CEO, I'm the man.
Doesn't matter. I will always be the garbage man. I will take the suit off and get dirty.
And you have stopped in the middle of events and said, I gotta go pick up at such and such.
Yes, exactly right.
Okay.
So my background, for 20 years, I was with waste manager in several different capacities. I covered anywhere from recycling to solid waste, which is your household waste, restaurant waste, to our construction side. So yes, I was out on the construction site making sure that they were code compliant for LEED, as well as making sure that when we're saying they're disposing of certain materials, it's got to go to the certain landfill or transfer station. And when that doesn't happen, then of course someone's going to be fined, and we have to dig it up and move it to where it should be. So now we're going to charge even more.
Right.
So, of course, the last phase was handling special waste. So that went from lab packs to your chemicals to oil spills to your road hazards, things of that nature.
So, and I think that is very intensive, right? So people can be intimidated by that because you just said a lot of stuff that's like, nah, if I ain't just picking up the trash and taking it out, I don't want no parts of it. But you started in this different space and you've transitioned in many, many ways throughout this 20 plus years of this career. So there's not very much separation there the way people think it is, right? So it's like you can be the trash man and transition to doing something like this.
Well, and the thing is, there's a whole lot.
You said garbge man. That sounds more elevated, right?
I'm the garbage man. I'm the trash man. I will be the one to go pick it. I have no qualms in doing so. But seriously, there's a whole career in the waste industry because it's more than just riding on the back of a truck. They need chemists, they need sales reps, they need legislative aides, they need accountants, they need truck drivers, they need operations. It's a whole career that a lot of folks don't realize is there. When I tell you it's over $1 billion industry, when I tell you the money really is there. Right. So how it transitioned as I was starting to figure out how I was going to be in my next phase of life, part of my job for waste was to be an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce.
Gotcha.
So that's where I started at.
Gotcha. Comes full circle.
It comes full
circle. So get out there and do your networking, people, because you just never know.
It comes full circle. And so as a part of the chamber, I'm at that ambassador for the waste industry to the chamber to make sure that we're doing our part on the environmental side and community side. I was actually on the phone with a regional manager of a property management group
Gotcha.
that generally would call me to, in a sense, fix their situation. And she said, "Hey, Merlin, can you go to look at this particular property, find out what it is?" Because she was sick of them coming back to their monthly meetings complaining about their waste.
Gotcha.
I go over, look at it, run down the stairs, go back up the stairs to the basement. Again, always on a suit, but always willing to pick up the trash. So we get back up, and I came back up. I said, "Okay." So because of relationships, and this is what is key in being a small business owner, you have to build solid relationships over time. That doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't.
Because everyone doesn't have the chance to see how you interact and act in different situations. I was able to make a phone call to the bank, to the IRS, Secretary of State's office, and a couple others, and went back to the client and said, "I found you a new valet waste company." Had never heard of Waste Valet before. All this was in 2 days.
Listen, when you told me, I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing.
All within 2 days. I'm saying, so they're paying someone to come down the hallway, pick their trash up, push it down a trash chute, get to the basement, push a can out on the street. The truck then comes by and dumps it, and you go home. I can do that.
Right.
Yeah. So when I went back in and told her, I said, "Hey, I found you a new valet company." And she said, "Who?" I said, "Me." The company was born 2018.
Wow.
So yes, it was amazing. It was amazing. Had no employees, had no trash receptacles for them to set by the door of those units. But because of my understanding of the waste industry and contracts, I was able to negotiate the cans to remain so that I didn't have to replace them. We just had to put stickers on them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So again, no can, no employees,
and no true background and being a valet,
and no background in being a waste valet proprietor at all. Only that I know how to pull trash. I don't mind getting up in the middle of the night and dumping trash, and also just make sure the customer is satisfied.
Right. And that piece is actually higher than the others. Right? Because to your point, the way you navigate the world in terms of relationships, especially the way you do it.
Okay.
I mean, you really do an amazing job.
Thank you.
And people have to know, like, and trust you is what we talk about here, right?
Sure.
And it's because of your relationship that they grew to know, like, and trust you. This person grew to know, like, and trust
Exactly.
you. So in that instance, when you said, I'm your new person, she's like, okay.
Exactly. Because she was and mind you, she was getting ready to retire, but she made it clear that nothing was to move until that person met me and I was now their person.
Right.
She said otherwise it was not going to happen.
Right.
And by the time they met me, everyone had knew that Polly said, "See Merlin," and Merlin only.
Yeah. And thank you, Polly.
Thank you,
Polly.
Today, yes.
A waste valet management company is born.
You're exactly correct.
So with that being said, if you had any advice to people, because I think your pivots have been really well-timed and open.
Sure.
Which is, I think, one of the other things, right? So if you would talk a little bit about going from being with waste management and then having this, epiphany, so to speak, of being like, wait a minute, this is something that I can do. How do you marry those two? Because obviously you had a job that I'm sure was paying you well and, you felt comfortable in that role and into the unknown.
Right. Well, one of the things is that I did it while I was still working at Waste because there was no conflict of what I was doing because on the side where I was at, it was all about making sure that lab packs were done. So again, whereas I'm doing valet services at night, working for Waste during the day. I did it for an entire year.
You was burning the midnight oil.
Oh, that's that college burn the midnight oil. Truly burning it from both ends of the candle. Right. Yes,
I've been here before, but now I'm actually making some money doing it.
And you're right. I did it. I was like, well, I've jumped out here, so I'm going to need to get this done because I cannot fail. Because now it's not going to just be me. It's the name of those that have gone before me that I've got to rely on, make sure that I do a well enough
Right.
job so that I can bring others behind me.
And supported your endeavor, because I
That's
think there is
exactly
something
it.
to be said about also respecting and honoring the people who kind of created these
Sure,
paths for
sure,
you.
sure.
And that cannot go unsaid, because
Right.
sometimes, you know, we get out there and we act like we forged ahead on our own, and even in conflict, because I've had even for me, when I talk about my path to real estate, I've had some conflict in the past before I got there, but I still think the conflict, right, and what I've
Exactly.
experienced and what other people have poured into me to
Sure.
help get me there. In your transition, did you feel like you had any conflict that helped propel you into your business, and saying that you learned something from this that had helped you grow your business?
Oh my goodness! There was quite a bit from even as I grew, and I had to understand of hiring employees, because
Oh my
I
God.
was always the employee,
Right.
and knew that I would come to work, clock out, and my check was there.
Mhm,
But then
mhm.
you get an employee that wants to say they want to work,
Mhm.
and you show up because you built a relationship with the driver of the waste company
Mhm.
that's actually dumping for you,
Mhm.
only to find that he's not working. He's subcontract. I had never heard of someone doing it. So I understand job share,
Right.
but I
right.
never understood someone to really understand
Right.
someone to subcontract their work out to someone else,
Mhm.
and they sit in their check and they're sitting in their car.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a very interesting thing, because now you've got to make sure your relationship with your insurance agent
Mhm.
is key,
Mhm.
as well as the building's management as well.
Right.
Some of the other conflict is just simply wondering, how am I going to do this?
Mhm.
Who's going to be my sounding board?
Mhm.
Because I really don't have one at
Right.
this point. Because now I'm trying to maintain my livability with the
Right.
waste during the
'Cause
day,
right.
and pull trash at night.
Because you like to eat.
I love to eat. I'm the
And you
foodie
like to
there
travel.
is. And as I was coming up to your studio, I was like, there's a restaurant.
It is a restaurant right there. You're
So
like,
I'm always looking at the restaurant. But the first thing before I do anything is go in a restaurant is look around the backside, see what their can looks like.
Mhm.
Garbage- do they have enough service for
Right.
that dumpster?
You're like, so what do you do with the trash after it's overflowing? from
Where
that?
are they going
Right.
with their overflow?
Right.
Who's picking up their
Right.
overflow? Because that's part of being in my sense,
Yeah.
the garbage man.
Yeah. And
I'm
that's
always going to
funny.
be the garbage man, and regardless of where I go and what I do, I'm
Mhm.
going to look and see what their dumpster looks like,
Right.
because there's a possibility there that we can assist
I
them.
was about to say, there's a possibility that they need a valet, a better valet, if they don't have one already.
or
So,
someone that can
Yes.
manage their waste stream.
wow. So I think all of that is phenomenal, and I'm really glad we got the chance to talk about it
Yes.
in this way, because again, there's no hyperbole when I was like, you do what?
I am the garbage man. When I tell you, the waste valet industry is a big industry.
Mhm.
But like any other industry, we're having issues with employees showing up. It's a work shortage.
So people don't. There was a time that the trash man was like, the trash man, the mailman, all of these different utilities that we
Mhm,
needed were well-paying jobs and looked at in a good light.
And they still are.
Yeah, and I think we do, because it's like, hey, listen.
No.
But I think that young people sometimes have gotten away from that and seeing it in a light that is in that way, whereas
Well,
this
we
is
have-
a respectable
sure, and
job,
we have-
a respectable
And
industry.
we have to get them to understand, again, the industry, because it's just like being a doctor or a nurse. It's a 24/7.
Mhm.
Your day is not going to be the same.
Mhm.
If you're looking just to be that superior employer, that's not the real world.
Mhm.
The real world is that your employee calls out, so you got to get up at 2 a.m. in the morning and go and make sure the trash is off the ground.
Right.
Because if trash is not off the ground, it's a domino effect.
Mhm.
Trash not off the ground, customer comes in, their can is overflowing. Now their customers now seeing this trash, who will more than likely not want to come back, because they can't get to the front door, let alone the back, because the trash is on the ground. So now your accounting is off, because you won't get paid because the trash is on the street. But the good thing about it is you can make a great living in the waste industry.
Right.
Only understanding that, yes, there's a science component to it, but there is not a science component. Can you count? Can you measure? All
Can you
those.
show up?
Can you show up? can you read the contract or write the contract?
Right.
But it's a big industry.
Yeah.
I truly recommend our younger folks understanding how you can really be in the business and then start your own, because we can transition off of that into the brokerage side as well. Now you're not actually having to go out there and pick it up.
Right. But you should be ready to.
You should always be ready.
Just like you.
Should always be. Hence the reason I drive a pickup truck for that very reason.
So with that being said, I know you do a lot of other things, Merlin. So as I said, obviously the chamber is a very big part of your life and your world.
Yes.
What you do with
magic ways,
but you performing miracles. And then lastly, but not leastly, you are heavily involved in a lot of different, not just programs, but you're on a lot of boards. You're doing a lot of stuff in community-wise. Tell me a little bit more, because I know you mentioned your dad and what he did and how much of an impact that has on you and how you operate in the world. Tell me, more about that and how that propels you to continue to be a part of all these different, because you're 100 Men, United Way, like there's a list. And you've been having many, many awards and accolades, again, well-deserved. But tell me a little bit more about, senior Mr. Knight, and what his impact has been on you and how you are honoring his legacy and where you live today.
Well, senior Mr. Knight is former military, and HBCU grad as well, Omega Psi Phi. Shout out to those bros.
Who I'm not something I don't know, right?
It's a bark. The hooks. You have to throw up the hooks.
I'm sorry, that wasn't good.
I'm not Greek.
Right.
I'm not Greek. But because of the military upbringing that I had, and of course I have several siblings that went to the military. I, being the last child of 12, chose not to go to the military. But
you saw enough.
I saw enough of it at home that I knew that once I turned 18, I was heading to college, and that was going straight on somewhere else, but not his house.
The mighty Bethune-Cookman.
All day long.
Okay. Go ahead.
Bethune-Cookman University, now University Wildcats, located in Daytona Beach, founded by Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. Yes. All right. So, Mr. Knight, ex-military, former athlete, actually was tried out for the Olympics back in the day. He ran the 100.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. He didn't make the team, but he
was there. That's all that matters. I'm like, I ain't never qualified for the Olympics.
I probably could if I ate.
Gotcha.
But because of the watching him as I grew, anywhere from learning how to drive, first learning how to cook, wash my clothes, though the story behind that is hilarious. I thought I was able to know how to wash clothes and washed everything, colors and whites together. They came out pink. He made me wear them all to school for a week.
Well, you learned your lesson. You learned.
Yes,
you learned how to wash laundry.
I had learned how to do laundry after that. So no more mixing colors. But I got a whole new wardrobe after that. Out of that, but it took having to wear pink all day, and I love pink.
I was gonna say I've seen you in pink.
I love pink,
often, so I guess something came of that.
Something good came of that. But because of watching him, how he was my Boy Scout troop leader, and he was our elder at our church, so I'm watching him as I grow and trying to mimic some of the things he did, so that as I grew, I knew not to do and what to do. And from that, I was not a basketball player because I was, as they say, too short. But I didn't have a problem getting out there to fight you. On the court, that is. I'll figure out a way to block you.
Like, you got chutzpah. This kid got chutzpah.
But because of watching him in so many different areas as he managed his route within the arena of the community, I wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing as well.
And I think what you just said is prophetic, because I think as parents sometimes we do take it personal, because you just said watching what he was doing and knowing what to do and what not to do. There is something to be said in the lessons of watching your parents and not not repeating some of the things that they've done. And I know you do have a son as well.
Yes, I have a mini-me.
Yeah, and how
much taller than me and better than me now.
He looks a little taller than you, but his dad's a giant. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
How do you navigate your dad's teachings and the ways versus how you interact with your son?
Well, I wasn't as strict, but I was strict.
Okay.
Again, knowing the lessons I learned early, I didn't want to duplicate or replicate some of those things. So I managed to, because again, ex-military, he's more stern in his voice and boisterous, let's say. So I was always, well, instead of just punching me in the chest or, in the mouth. I did go to school one year with a bus slip, but that's back when you can hit a child, and the teacher says, "What happened?" You say you ran into the door,
Don't hit the
and you keep on going.
Right.
So my thing was, I can have a conversation with him and to get the same result.
And I agree with that too. I think that,
but in a way that he knows that try me and you won't try again.
Yeah, and there's so much dichotomy to how we've navigated parenthood compared to how our parents parented and things like that. Obviously, they sometimes look at us like y'all doing it wrong, but I do think
no playbook.
There is no playbook, and I do think just coming full circle from what you said about your dad, and even in our, some of us having very similar parentage, that our children are more armed emotionally, communicative than we were allowed to be, right. And now I just think that the other piece that we're trying to bestow upon them is this piece about the work ethic and everything else.
Well, I did that early because again, that's how I got my first job. I came home, he said, "This is where you will work." And I was running track, of course. He was like, well, figure it out. However you get from that school, after school, you make sure you're at that job because you will be washing dishes there.
Did your son work with you?
Yes.
Awesome. That's the perfect note to end it.
Not now.
Not now. No, right now. He feels the same way you felt about the military.
Well, no, he went to the military.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's in the Army.
Oh, wow. Well,
somebody had to go, but it wasn't going to be me.
It's going to be you. Thank you, Merlin.
Oh, thank you. I certainly appreciate it.
You. This is a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I definitely would want anybody to take anything. If you wanted anyone to take anything away from this conversation specific to your industry, what would it be?
Learn as much as you possibly can about the industry, because there are so many avenues and veins to this world of waste management that you really can truly retire from this in a way that you're very satisfied. They're more than they're publicly traded companies. The stock is not going anywhere; it's going up because again, the United States has a lot of waste, so someone has to move it. So I would suggest learning what you can about the industry, and if you need some mentors or someone to help give you some pointers, we're really glad to do that. But we want to make sure that you understand the true value of the waste industry. It's not just the truck coming down through your subdivision and your can is rolled up to the curb and he dumps it and it goes back into your garage. No, there is a life. There is a life. Life in the world.
Bunch of cogs behind there.
Oh, when I tell you I was green before green was popular, and did not realize that I was that green because I'm in the waste industry, but did not realize even then. Did not realize it. So I tell you, to take away from this would be, again, learn as much about the industry and understand it's fun, but it's a headache as well.
Well, thank you very much, Merlin. How do we get in contact with you? Anybody who needs valet waste services, the best in the business is right here. How do we get in contact?
Merlin at magicwastevalet.com.
There we go.
That's Merlin, Merlin at magicwastevalet.com.
Magicwaste.com. Thank y'all.